Thanks very much, Barry, for those really wonderful reflections. Really a very warm and engaging welcome to country. Just before we move to the main proceedings today, can I just mention, I think I neglected to mention a very special guest we have here today, and that is Mr. Cliff Weeks, who's a Yamatji man and is the Director General of the WA Department of Aboriginal Affairs. I think I might have glossed over that earlier, and so my apologies for that. I'd also just like to say that our beloved colleague Isaac is absolutely fine, and look at these. We all work under a lot of pressure, and I think that sort of thing could happen to anyone. So blessed that he's fine. Look, I'd now like to invite the CEO of Fortescue Metals Group, Mr. Nev Power, to the stage. Nev has now served as two years as CEO of Fortescue and has presided over this program as Chief Executive Officer. And so without any further ado, can I call Nev up to the stage to make a very important announcement today.
Thank you, Tim, and welcome everybody. It's a great honour to have you all here today, and I would like to acknowledge all of the distinguished guests, traditional owner groups and native title partners that we have here today. And in particular, Barry, thank you for the welcome to country. It was very touching. We appreciate you being here, and it's a great honour to be meeting on Noongar traditional country today. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today, it gives me great pleasure to announce that we have achieved the milestone of awarding $1 billion in contracts to Indigenous companies and their joint venture partners. Turn it on. Okay, that's a novel approach. Thank you. I think I could probably be heard down the back anyway, fairly voluminous. The $1 billion target was set back in December 2011. And that's not to say that before 2011 we hadn't done a lot of work in this area. We had, and we had been developing our relationships and building the models that we were using to engage with our Indigenous communities. But in 2011, in true Fortescue style, we tapped into the Fortescue's culture and set a stretch target. And that was to achieve $1 billion worth of contracts with Indigenous companies and their partners by the end of 2013. It is tremendous and makes me extremely proud today to say that we've achieved that some 6 months earlier than that target that we set. And that has been achieved with the latest awarding of contracts to 6 of our native title groups and their partner Morris Corporation for the management and maintenance and operations of our villages across the Pilbara. This is a very significant group of contracts with more than $500 million, and it stretches over 5 years, which allows the development of sustainable business capability within those groups. This is not just a flash in the pan, this is the start of something great. It allows for long-term employment. It allows for structures and business capability to be built around those contracts. And we look forward to continuing those well into the future. But let me assure you that this is not about preference or handouts or welfare in any way, shape or form. We worked with each of those traditional owner groups to ensure that they had the capability, the business structures, the corporate governance, and to be sure that they were prepared for what they're about to undertake. But then they went through a competitive process where they tendered for the work and had to meet the very high standards that the Fortescue Procurement and Infrastructure Services team placed on that. So this is great credit to the groups that have been through this process. And it covers a very, very wide range of groups right across our business. Because mining is a perfect partner with local Indigenous communities. There is no other industry that can provide the very broad range of jobs in the very areas where most Indigenous people make their lives. It is in those remote communities that often we find mining projects. And mining projects offer that one thing, that one critical element that Indigenous people need, and that is opportunity. It is lack of opportunity that drives the disparity and the disadvantage through Indigenous Australia. And by providing that opportunity, we've been able to help develop Indigenous companies to meet the challenge of taking on those businesses and providing the employment and the opportunity for future generations. So it is a very significant achievement. We were so careful about this that we actually had this audited by our auditors to make sure that we hadn't missed anything in this process. And I'd have to say that the outcome of that audit was even more pleasing. We had set a target or a minimum standard of 25% Indigenous ownership in those companies. And we actually achieved over 80% of the contracts with more than 50% ownership. And more than 50% of the profits that flow through those contracts end up in Indigenous communities. So that is truly a wonderful structure that's been put in place there. But for us, ladies and gentlemen, this is only the start. We look at this as the embryo of something that's going to continue for generations to come. And we want that business capability to be multiplied through employment and training and development of those communities so that there is more opportunity that grows from these initial contracts. There have been so many people involved in this, so many people to thank, that I don't want to start here today to try and name everybody, but I do want to single out a few people. I want to single out Heath. Heath, could you stand up for a minute? Where are you? Heath has been a champion of the billion opportunities and deserves enormous accolades and great credit. Heath, well done, mate. Heath is our Indigenous Business Development Manager, and I've got to say that he works tirelessly around the business as well as in the native title groups and traditional owner groups to be able to do that. And I think well partnered, perhaps on the other side, is Clinton Wolfe. Clinton, congratulations, mate. Well done. So there have been a lot of people within Fortescue and within our partner groups that have made a tremendous effort in making this worthwhile. And I want to thank each and every one of you today and congratulate you on a job well done, and congratulations on that achievement. I look forward to us developing those relationships in the future and continuing to build off that wonderful foundation. So $1 billion worth of contracts, it's just the start. I look forward to the future from here. Thank you.